Hello, and welcome back to this mini podcast episode where we talk about comparing yourself to others on social media. So, we've all experienced this. You're going on Instagram, you're seeing all these people having their best lives, and suddenly you don't feel good about your own life anymore. So, let's talk a little bit what Instagram versus reality basically with my own experience. If you're new to this kind of format, welcome. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I have long form video format where I teach you something, and I have this mini podcast episodes where I just share a little bit more about entrepreneurship, social media, mindset, and freelancing. Like I said, today we're going to talk about comparing yourself to others on social media. When I was younger, there was no social media, so we would compare ourselves to people in magazines or people on TV. However, it was kind of different because it was not constant, right? Like I wouldn't watch TV constantly and I'm not looking at magazine constantly. However, now with our phone, we are constantly comparing ourselves. And it's not just the celebrities or the superstar we're comparing ourselves, but really like our friends or people who are not even that famous but seem to have the best life ever. And obviously, you know that. I know that you know that not everything is the reality and most of the stuff is a highlight reel, but still deep down, you most likely go on social media and you don't feel good after. And I want to share a few stories of how Instagram versus reality is when I first started my journey. As you might remember, I used to live in Bali for over 7 years. And back then, Instagram didn't even have stories yet. But then it came out, I believe in my first or second year in Bali, Instagram came out with stories and suddenly we saw even more of what people would do. And in that time, I kind of wanted to be a blogger and I wanted to be a influencer. At least that's what I thought I wanted to be. I realized very quickly that this life was not for me. Like I hated it. So posing for photos, taking hours to take the perfect picture was absolutely not what I thought. I went to hotels, like I had these free hotel stays, let's say, and most of the time I couldn't even enjoy it because we had to take so many photos. And to be honest, it takes me forever to take a good photo because I don't like it, right? So then I saw other people, they're staying at like the Four Seasons, and I thought, wow, how can I get a collab at the Four Seasons? And it looked like they were staying at all these 5-star resorts, and on social media, it looked like they had the best life ever. And back then, I met a lot of those influencers that have now millions of followers, or at least hundreds and thousands of followers. And I met them in real life, and most of the time I was like, what? Completely different person. And what was funny is that they were actually not making any income with those stays because the hotels usually said that, well, it's for your own exposure and you get to stay in this hotel. Whereas I was making money as a social media manager, and they were staying in reality in those very cheap hostels. And then that one time they went into the Four Seasons, they would create so much content that could spread that over weeks. So you would think, wow, this person has nailed it. They're making so much money. They're constantly at the Four Seasons. When in reality, it wasn't like that at all. And they were asking me how I'm making money. However, when you looked at our socials, it looked like I was the loser because I didn't have that many followers. I clearly didn't stay at the Four Seasons, but I was having a good income and I was happy with how I evolved. Like I realized, okay, I don't want to be that influencer. I'm not good at it. I couldn't even do it. But I found a way making an income as a social media manager. So, long story short, back then I very quickly realized that what you see online is just not the reality. Fast forward to maybe 5 years later, I was joining a mastermind in LA. At that time, I was joining several masterminds. I went to events. I really was like into the networking, and I totally bought into the let's hustle, and you need to hustle in order to be successful. And you need to be in these kind of places like LA to really connect with people who are already super successful. And I spent so much money, like all the money I made, I spent to go to these events. And I met some people who are really big in the industry who I looked up to for so long. And when we were talking about how to promote yourself and your own success when you actually don't have these big results. So I'm not making millions of dollars. So what do I then say in my own marketing? And believe it or not, they told me to just lie, to make up fake testimonials, to make up numbers that are not true, and basically fake it till you make it. And tell my audience that I'm making a certain amount or that they can make a certain amount by buying into my product or service, which felt so disappointed. Like, I was really disappointed that someone that big in the industry would tell me that from then on, I saw everything massively different, even more so than before. So now I'm looking at all these numbers and I know that majority of it is not even true. Especially now where you can make almost everything up. Like you can create everything in Canva, whether it's real or not. And I think that's really sad. But it also opened my eyes to not fall for everything. Like I used to definitely believe everything that I saw. In my mind, still to this day, cannot wrap my head around why would someone lie? Like, why would someone make something up that's not true? Whether that's a number, whether that's an experience, why can you not be real? But anyway, I realized that is how a lot of the stuff in marketing works. And I felt really sad about that. And I understand why marketing has a bad rep. And I also understand why a lot of times people message me and say, hey, is this even real? So, to give you an example, roughly 2 years ago, one of my current one on one clients messaged me on Instagram, sent me a DM, and said, hey, Nadine, I saw all of your stuff. I saw your courses. I saw your client results. But I got to be honest with you, like, is this all fake? Like, are you a real person? This seems like funny to me. And I sent her a voice message and I said, I'm happy to come on a call. Everything here is real. I'm a real person and I would never make anything up. And we went on a call and she was like, so surprised that I was actually real and that I wasn't making stuff up, that this everything I do or say is actually the truth. So long story short, there are still people who are like that. And I think with my community and everything that I try to put out, we want to create those real connections with real people where we don't have to fake anything, especially also like inside our program. We talk a lot about when it doesn't go well, like when you lose a client or something is not good, you didn't make enough money that month, or you feel like a loser. That happens, right? I want you to be able to share that and really create connection so that we can lift each other up rather than come online and tell all these great success stories when they're not real. Like, you don't need to go online and say you make this amount of money a month when it's not true. So this has become like a trend in social media and in the coaching industry, that you share how much money you made, but then you never share when it's a bad month, or like most of the people, you might share the wrong numbers. And I think you don't need to do that. And you don't also need to share how much you even made. The reason why I say this is because when you then go online and you see other people saying how many clients they have or how fast they made X amount of money, you don't know whether it's even true, and B, you don't know their circumstances, right? You don't know if they already had money to begin with. You don't know if they had support. You don't know how much time they were able to put in compared to yourself. All of these things you don't know. Not everyone has the same playing field, and we have to remember that. So you only want to be your own competition. So how can you be your best self compared to yesterday, not compared to anyone else? And that to me is also not easy. I have to remind myself every single day not to compare myself. And the best way to do that is really to limit my own social media time. Even as a social media manager, I actually don't need to scroll as much as I sometimes do. So I've implemented social media windows for myself where I get to scroll, but it's like very limited. I can tell when I'm over those limits, and if I start to scroll mindlessly, I will feel worse. That's just, I think, normal, and I wanted to remind you guys. So that's the episode for today. It's been a little bit longer because I felt like it's an important message, and I also never shared that before. So I hope you liked it. Let me know your experiences in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.